There's an old song that has in its lyrics, everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die. Meaning, everyone wants the reward, everyone wants the benefit, but no one's willing to go through what it takes to get those benefits or to get that reward. Well, we're going to unpack that today on Iyapo Yapa. Everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die. Have you ever considered suffering or what suffering is all about? When you think of the march in Selma, when you think about the civil rights movement in general, when you think about the Underground Railroad, when you think about all these different things that our people have had to fight for in this country, just to one of the funny things is, I said this to my best friend the other day, that it's funny that the things that we have fought for aren't necessarily to do anything to white people, not to hurt them, not to kill them, not to do anything to them. And not to really take anything from them. All that we sought was to be treated as human beings. And evidently, that was too much to ask, to the point that they were willing to kill to keep that from happening. And let that sink in for a minute. They're willing to kill to keep people from just being treated just as human beings. Okay, but that's not really what I'm trying to focus on. It's just throwing that out there. My main goal is to move us forward in this conversation for reparations. I have plenty of videos explaining why we need to believe that we can get them. I just did a share this show where it's not white people we're trying to get it from, it's the system that we're trying to get it from. So it doesn't matter whether white people want us to have them or not. You know, President Obama, when he was in office, and he was asked about the subject of reparations, he actually talked about how, well, if we give our people reparations, then what will immigrants think? As if that mattered. As if that mattered at all. It doesn't matter what anybody thinks, doesn't matter what anybody likes, doesn't matter what white people want to happen or not to happen. We need to go after our reparations, because it's not that we're asking them from white people anyway. We're asking reparations from the system. But you can watch my other share, which will explain that. Now, what has happened to us in society is that we've become demoralized. Demoralized just meaning it's like anything else. You just keep fighting and fighting and fighting, and after a while, you throw your hands up and say, "Well, you know, I'm tired of fighting. Go on and take it off." You think of someone that you know who was in a marriage they wanted to get out of. They could have been the one to have brought mostly everything into the marriage, and then they have the spouse who's no good or whatever, but won't let them go because they're a hanger-on or whatever. And then after a while, they made it so hard on this person that they say, you know what, forget it. Take the house, take the car, take the money. I'll just start from scratch. I just want to be away from you, which is exactly what they want to happen. They don't want that person. They just want that person's stuff. So they demoralize the person, fight them to the point where they just get tired of fighting. And that's the same thing that happens or is happening with the black community. White people would prefer that we just finally say screw it. Just you guys just keep everything and let us go on our way. That's a slap in the face to our ancestors who built this country, and upon whose bones and blood is built. That's not the way to go, and that's not the thing to do. We're always talking in social media, us who have, or we who have channels. We talk a lot about what the issue is. We know what the issue is. We know what the problem is. There have been several live chats, not live chat, but live streams that I've been in, and we're discussing these issues. And sooner or later, someone starts asking the very valid question, okay, what's the answer? And then one person will ask it, and then people will just follow suit and just start saying, what's the solution? In other words, okay, we know how bad it is. We've known how bad it is. We get it. What's the solution? As far as I'm concerned, and the way that I lean with this, is that the solution is for us to first unify in thought as far as reparations go. We have a whole lot of like side issues that we need to start dropping this stuff and unify until we start completing some of our goals. So we need to find common goals and work on those. Mine is reparations. What we need to do specifically is to start finding elected officials and actual leaders, not figureheads, like a Al Sharpton. We need to find actual leaders in the community and leaders among our people who are willing to actually move forward with reparations, who believe that we can get them. Now, one thing you have to understand about politicians is this: they are ruled by self-interest. And that's where you get them, because just like the old saying goes, we have the best government money can buy. All you have to do is be able to mess with their money, and that will move them. They couldn't care less about the issue at hand, most of them. It's all about them and their job security and their money and their lifestyle. So if we exert political force upon them, it won't matter. Their actual views on things really won't matter to them as much as keeping their position. Now, if we start pressing our elected officials and asking, where do you fall on reparations? Once we find out where they fall, and not just by what they're saying, but by their actions and what they have voted on and voted against and so on, then we can start to streamline exactly who we can support and who we won't. And we become one issue voters. We become one issue supporters. Now here's where the pain comes in. Here's where the pain comes in. There may be times that we go to elected officials and say, prime example would be Bernie Sanders. I used to support Bernie Sanders until I found out that he does not support reparations for our people. Okay, he helped the Jewish Holocaust survivors get theirs, who we never did anything to, by the way. He had no problem assisting with that, but he said that we can't, our people, descendants of slaves or descendants of enslaved Africans, can't get reparations. Now, he's a prime example. He is one that we need to go on letter writing campaigns, Twitter campaigns, letting him know directly, we cannot support you. And we will not support you because you are not in favor of reparations for our people. And after a while, that will be felt. What they will come back with, and this is again talking to the pain and how much pain we're willing to endure. What he would come back with, or someone of his ilk or his level would come back with, is, well, if you don't vote for me or you don't help me, you're going to end up with Trump again. Now hear me. One of the most powerful messages that you can send a person is to tell them, before I vote for you, I will vote for no one. That doesn't mean I'll vote for Trump. That means before I will vote for you, I'll vote for no one. Before I help you, I will help no one. And it may mean that we end up with this bigot again. And I'm willing to deal with that pain until you and your people come around. And I hope I'm expressing this right, because I don't really feel like I am. What I'm trying to say is, there is very, very powerful when you know that you are willing, or when you let someone know that you are willing to suffer for a time, not forever, but that you're willing to suffer so that you can get what you need to get done. But what they hold over our heads is they'll hold Trump over our heads, frankly, and they'll say, "Well, I do not have your interest in heart or in mind as it comes to reparations. But if you don't help me, you're gonna end up with Trump." That's what they hold over our head. But you get to the point where you don't let them hold anything over our heads. Again, that doesn't mean that you run out and vote for Trump. That just means that you say, well, if you don't help us, then we have no conversation for you, and we're going to find people who are on our side only. Because what has happened is we've gotten comfortable in this country, and since we're comfortable, and what I mean by comfortable is that we're part of this society, consumer society, where you have your car, you have your thing, you have your baubles and all this different stuff, but your trinkets, but it really doesn't amount to anything, but it's used to hold over your head. To keep you in line. But at some point, we may have to say, I'm sorry, it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter what you do. If you are not for reparations for our people, then I'm not with you. And you can't get me on your side, because that is the one issue upon which I stand and fall. Reparations. That doesn't just involve somebody handing you a check. Reparations can involve free college for our people, student loan forgiveness for our people, training programs for our people, free access to health care for our people because of post-traumatic slave syndrome, as Dr. Joy DeGruy coined that. It can involve SBA loans and so on, that they make sure that our people get. Just different things for descendants of enslaved Africans that bring us that put us on a level playing field and bring up our standards of living and makes it so that we can actually compete. But until these things happen, we're always going to stay on the bottom. And as long as we keep seeking to avoid pain, and voting against our self-interest just to avoid a little bit of pain for a while, for a time, then we're going to just keep going through this and keep going through this. I'm going to use the analogy real quick of the movie Saw. If you've seen any of the Saw movies, just think about this. And for those of you who haven't seen it, I apologize. You'd have to have seen it to understand this analogy. But there's a man who's putting people in these deadly traps. They have however long to get themselves out of this trap, or it's going to kill them. But the way to get out of the trap is to do something like either saw your own foot off, or cut your own hand off, or or dig into your own stomach to get a key, and all this different stuff. That's painful, painful things to do, so you can get out of this trap. Well, that becomes the point. Either you go through this pain to get out of this trap, or you stay in the trap and die. Those are our choices. Those are our choices. Don't deceive yourself into thinking anything different. Those are our choices. Either we have to go through some pain to come out on the other side and get out of this mess, or we stay in it and die. Okay, staying in it meaning that we keep voting for the same people who are doing the same crap to us. So, in all honesty, I don't feel that I explained this as well as I could have. But in the comments, let me know if I need to clarify this even more, or make another share that explains this better. Let me know. I'm not going to be hurt. I'm not going to be mad. I'm just a guy out here. I'm just somebody who's just trying to help my people, just like a lot of us are out here. So let me know in the comments. Okay? Like, share, subscribe. By all means, comment. And I will see you in the next share. Love you much, family. Much love and respect. Okay? And we can get this thing done. We can get this thing done. Like, share, subscribe. Peace.